this video hasn't been recording my voice. Okay, the first 7 minutes doesn't have any voice. Perfect. Okay, so what's negative 8 times 16?
Negative 128.
Negative
128.
128. Okay. Then I have plus 4 minus 9. And now I can put all of this on the calculator, and that's going to be 133, negative 133. So this shows me here what I'm doing is I'm doing the order of operation. You're going to hear me say this word, BEDMAS, order of operation, too many times, okay? So get used to it. Are we okay with that? Do we have any questions? So when you're simplifying, you have to perform BEDMAS, but also we have to perform what we call the distributive property, okay? The distributive property is used whenever you have something multiplied by something else in a bracket. Okay, so I want to ask you a question. You went to, I always use this example. So you went to Taco Bell, and then they have their special combo where you can get 2 tacos and a drink. Okay, you want to get 3 combos. How many tacos do you get, and how many drinks do you get? 6 tacos and 3 drinks, right? Because basically you're gonna get, you can get 2 tacos, right, and 1 drink, but because you want 3 of them, right, so you want 3 of this, so that's gonna be 6 tacos and 3 drinks. Yeah? Make sense? Now how do we do that, right? If I do have, so this is common sense, right? So basically what's happening here, you see that 3 that's multiplied by the combo? It's actually multiplied by each term inside that combo. Okay? We call that distributive property. So I'm distributing that 3 multiplied by everything inside the bracket. Okay? So this is one part of the distributive property, and this is when I'm multiplying what we call a monomial by a binomial. What's a monomial? A single term. Okay? A binomial is whenever you have 2 terms. So I'm multiplying a single term by 2 terms. Okay? We also have the distributive property that with a process of FOIL, F-O-I-L. And that's when you have a binomial, let's say, with a binomial. Okay? When you're multiplying 2 binomials, we perform the FOIL. I will talk about this in a bit. So, when we have a monomial multiplied by a binomial, I have to use my distributive property, which means I have to multiply this by this, and I have to multiply this by this. And this is what we learned yesterday is going to come in place. Okay? So, basically you have negative 2x times y multiplied by another x. What would that give you?
X squared.
So, it's going to be negative 2 x squared y. Remember yesterday we said if you multiply something with the same base, what do you do with your exponent? You add your exponent. So basically what's happening here, I have an x with an exponent 1. I have an x with an exponent 1. It becomes x squared. And then the negative 2 and the y, they stay the same. There's nothing else to add them to. Are you guys okay with the first term? How about my second term? So I have negative 2xy times 5y.
10x y squared.
Negative 10x y squared. Do you guys agree with that? So you multiply the negative 2 times the 5. That gives you negative 10. The x, there's no other x's, so it stays the same. And y times y is y squared. Does it make sense to everyone? Okay. Now after you do this, you're going to look at your terms, see if there is any common terms or like terms that you can add them together. Are they like terms? No, because if you look here, this is x squared, this is x. This is y squared. So they're not the same terms. Unless they have the same letters with the same exponents, then they're not like terms. Are we good? So I explained this in the review, but you'll see like in the lessons when we do things like this, I don't focus too much on it, right? So I expect you guys to know this. So in C, I have what case in here? Two binomials multiplied together, right? So you see that this is a binomial because this has two terms. And this is another binomial because it has two terms. So whenever I have a binomial multiplied by a binomial, I have to follow the FOIL process. Do you guys know what FOIL represents? No? Okay. So FOIL is an acronym for first, inner, outer, last. Okay? What first, inner, outer, last, if you see, you take the first 4 letters, it's going to be, it's outer, inner. Sorry, guys. Not because it's FOIL. So if you take the first letters, right, it spells FOIL. So what that means, if I have a binomial multiplied by another binomial, okay? So if you're looking at the two binomials, what are your first letters? So what's your first letter with the first binomial? A. What's your first letter in the second binomial? C. So basically you're going to have to multiply A times C. Okay? That means that's your first. So if I multiply A times C, that's going to give me AC. Yeah? Okay. Then you're going to look at your two binomials, and then you're going to look at your outer letters. So which two letters are your outer letters? So from the outside.
A and B.
A and D, right? So these are your outer letters. So you're going to have to multiply A times D. What's A times D? AD. So basically what I did here is I took my first and I multiplied them by both of my second, right? Both terms in my second binomial. But this is a process for you to. Then inner means your two inner letters. What are your two inner letters, like from the inside? B and C, because these are your inner letters. These are from the inside, right? So if I multiply B and C, that's going to give me BC. And then your last are going to be the last two letters, which is B and D. So I just want you guys to see that what's happening technically, you're going to hear me say FOIL, but you need to understand that I'm referring to this. But technically what's happening, you're taking the first letter, or the first term, and then you're multiplying it by both terms inside the second bracket. Yeah? And then you're taking your second term, and then you're multiplying it by both terms in the second bracket. distributive property. It's exactly a distributive property, but it's done twice. Are we okay with this? So anytime you have two binomials multiplied with each other, this is what you're going to have to do. Okay? So here's the example that we have. So I have x minus 3 times x plus 4. What do I multiply first? X times x. So x times x is x squared. Followed by, what do I multiply second? X times 4. So that's plus 4x. Then I have to multiply negative 3 times x. So that is negative 3x. And then negative 3 times 4, so that's negative 12. Are we good with that? Now, when I'm done this, I have to look at, do I have like terms? Do I have terms that I can collect together? For x and negative 3x, right? These are like terms because they have the same letter with the same exponent. So this can be simplified to x squared plus x minus 12. Are we good? Okay, so let's look at D. So I have 3x plus 5 squared minus 2x squared minus 2x plus 3. So what do I have to do here? Bracket first. What does that mean?
Distribute the exponent in the bracket.
What does it mean if I have 3x plus 5 squared?
You can write it 2 times.
I can write it 2 times. Do not do whatever you said first, because unless I have multiplication, I can't just distribute the 2 in. Okay? Because it's an addition. You can't. So basically, you're going to have to write this twice. Because that's the same thing. I don't like to use this color. So you guys see what happened? What I did first is I wrote the 3x plus 5 twice. So I can perform what? Now, what can I perform to this? 4. Right? I wrote it twice because it's squared. Squared, that means something multiplied by itself twice. Now if I do the FOIL, 3x times 3x gives me 9x squared. Then what's the next thing that I have to multiply? What's my second thing? 3x times 5. So that's 15x. Then 5 times 3x. 15x. Then 5 times 5, which is 25. Are we okay with that so far? Okay. Now for this right here for the second part, what you see here, you have a negative that's preceding a bracket, okay? So that negative is going to affect everything inside the bracket right after. So let's look at this. So that negative is going to be multiplied by each term inside the bracket. So that makes it into negative 2x squared, positive 2x, and minus 3. Do we understand what happened here? Okay? Now I have no more brackets. I have no more multiplication. I only have terms that are added and subtracted together. Do you guys see that? There's no more multiplication. There's no more brackets. Everything is gone. Now it's the time of collecting like terms. What are my like terms? So let's start with the 9x squared. Do I have a like term?
2x.
Minus 2x squared, right? So these are like terms. So what's 9x squared minus 2x squared?
7x squared.
Yeah. So all what you do is you take your coefficients and then you subtract. Then I have 15x plus 15x plus 2x. So that's plus 32x. Then I have 25 minus 3, so that is 22. And I'm done.